Time for our nightly Eye on the Prize segment, and by now you know the prize is a majority in the House and in the Senate. We're focusing on many Republican candidates across the country who have a real chance, a great chance of flipping a Democrat seat. And right now we're talking about the Michigan 7th. That's like right here, right above Lansing. See there? See, I'm from Michigan. I can do that. Tom Barrett is running for that seat against Elissa Slotkin, and he joins us now. Mr. Barrett, thanks for being here.
Larry, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I read that this is the most expensive House race in the country, and it's not like this is a really expensive media market. It's not like, here in the D.C. area with some of the Virginia seats that are up for grabs, you would think they'd be spending more. Why is this so expensive?
Yeah, you're right. It is. And it is now ranked as the most expensive congressional district in the entire country. The projections are it could exceed $30 million in total spending. The Democrats are spending a ton of money in this district in a desperate attempt to try and hang on to Nancy Pelosi's majority and her term as speaker, or her tenure as Speaker of the House. My opponent, Elissa Slotkin, is a stalwart ally of Nancy Pelosi, voting with her in near perfect alignment. She has a 100% voting record with Joe Biden. She's brought about all of the disastrous outcomes that we've seen economically, physical security-wise, open borders, and internationally as well. I'm running to put America back on the right track, and we are doing everything we can to win this race. My opponent is spending over $1 million a week in these closing weeks. We need all the help we can get. If any folks that are watching or listening today can go to my website, tombarrettforcongress.com. We'd love to have their help because our polls are neck and neck right now, and we can't afford to be swarmed out on the airwaves like they're trying to do. We need to just get that last push to get us over the finish line, win a conservative majority in the House of Representatives, and do everything we can to put our country back on the right track.
And I'll also tell you, being from Michigan originally, I watched that state quite a bit, and the polls are notorious for underrepresenting Republicans, especially in a year where we're going to have really good Republican turnout. So if they're neck and neck, frankly, I think you've got a little bit of a lead right now. You just need to be able to withstand that last push of money that Slotkin's going to throw in there. And I'd love for you to talk about Ms. Slotkin for a minute. I want to hear about you. I do. But she's the kind of congressperson that really rubs me the wrong way because she won a traditional Republican district in 2018 by running as this, I'm a former CIA, I'm moderate, I don't even think about political parties, but those Republicans, they've gotten too Trumpy. So vote for me and I'll be just a nice, normal, nonpartisan moderate. And she's been the opposite. And she's not alone. Abigail Spanberger did the same thing. Jennifer Wexton did the same thing. There's a whole bunch of new members of Congress from 2018 that did exactly that. And it was a betrayal to the people of Central Michigan.
It was, and it was this bait and switch, right? Vote for me because I'm a moderate, and then you go in and vote in near 100% alignment with Nancy Pelosi and literally 100% alignment with Joe Biden. Every single disastrous policy that we're living under now was supported by my opponent and each of those other members of Congress that you described that, kind of did this sham moderate pitch to the American people that convinced a lot of voters and a lot of donors, but obviously didn't actually come forward with any type of positions that, you would expect of a member that campaigned in the way that they did. I have a background in the state legislature. I serve in the Michigan Senate right now. I have a conservative voting record, one that I am proud of, but one that also has a lot of independence to it. I have voted against my own party in Lansing at our state capitol more than 290 times since I was first elected to office. I've stood up for small businesses, for working people, against corporate welfare, and a variety of other things that have separated me from my own party at times because I'm willing to take tough positions and do the hard work to win elections and take tough positions. I don't run for office simply to have a trophy mantle on a trophy on the mantle at home. I do it because it matters, and I do it because America's on the wrong track, and we've got to change direction. We've got to reverse the damage that is being done to our country.
So as Nancy Pelosi's tens of millions of dollars are being carpet bombed over Michigan 7, a candidate like you who already serves in the state house, you have to go door to door. You actually get to shake hands, press the flesh, kiss the babies, and meet these voters. The people of Michigan are hurting. I know that. My family's there. What are you hearing from them? What are you hoping to achieve should you win in 2 weeks?
You're absolutely right. The cost of living issues are dominating the conversation with voters that I talk to. My wife and I are raising 4 little kids, and we feel it ourselves, and other families that we talk to are feeling it every single day. Elissa Slotkin, my opponent, comes from a wealthy and privileged background, and that's great for her, and I'm glad that her family, 2 generations ago, lived the American dream and built a wealthy enterprise that way. She talks about how she hears about inflation from voters. I live it. My wife and I live it every single day. And the families that we talk to and the families that are raising children like we are see it and feel it differently than these elitists who simply talk about how they hear about inflation from other people. We're crossing, the gas station every day, and gas is $4 to $4.50 a gallon in Michigan. Groceries are inordinately more expensive than they were just a year ago. People's even back to school supplies and everything else are through the roof. And now here in Michigan, as you know, we are about to enter a very cold winter here in Michigan, and home heating costs are going to be double digits, 20 or even 30% higher than they were a year ago, all due to failed policies by Joe Biden and those that have enabled him in Congress, like my opponent, Elissa Slotkin, who have a 100% enabling voting record with Joe Biden. My background is different. I've served 22 years in the United States Army. I joined right out of high school, had never been on an airplane in my life until I left for basic training, and just retired after 22 years in the Army. Spent deployments in different parts of the world, and then was selected to go to flight school, learn to fly some amazing helicopters, came back home to Michigan and ran for office 8 years ago because battle buddies I had served with were really struggling to find opportunities here in Michigan. And now I'm going to take that same ethic and those same values to Washington to represent families in mid-Michigan and Washington, D.C., because their voice has been silenced.
Well, and considering your military background, I would think that you would also want to take those concerns that you have about your fellow brothers and sisters in arms, not just for veterans issues, but also the fact that Nancy Pelosi's House has never had a real comprehensive investigation of Joe Biden's pullout of Afghanistan. Are you hoping to get some answers when you get into the House of Representatives, sir?
You're absolutely right. And a year ago, I was watching from home like so many of Americans and just devastated to see that disastrous withdrawal in Afghanistan. I felt for a long time that we needed to withdraw from Afghanistan, bring our troops back home. But that doesn't mean you forfeit the game on the way out the door. Yeah. And Joe Biden, through a dereliction of duty, allowed the Taliban to be placed in charge of security for our troops, which directly resulted in the deaths of those 13 Marines who were killed and the dozens more who were injured. And there has been no accountability since then. Yeah. I could not sit back and watch that happen and pretend it wasn't going on. I put
Barrett,
too much of my life into this.
Absolutely. And I'm still dumbfounded by the fact that no one has lost their job. No one had the dignity and honor to step down and resign and say, we got this wrong. That's not the military I grew up understanding. I'm certainly that's not the military that you were in. Where's the honor here?
You're exactly right. If I so much as got a scratch on a helicopter that I was flying, there would be a full investigation, a tremendous amount of penalty and everything else associated with that. Here we forfeit, billions of dollars of equipment. But worse than that was the loss of life of some of America's best, our national treasure, the young people that step up and serve in our military, and no accountability. General Milley still has his job. Lloyd Austin, our Secretary of Defense, still has his job. Yeah. Nobody was held accountable. And that was a dereliction of duty when they decided to allow the Taliban to be placed in charge of security for our troops. Everyone knew that was a disaster waiting to happen. We could all see it and feel it, and yet they went ahead and did it. And that's what directly allowed these Marines to lose their lives. We have 13 new Gold Star families in America that could have been avoided with better planning and better leadership. But our military leaders are so hyper-focused on this woke political philosophy to get ahead in this political environment because, the Democrats are in charge and they got to endear themselves to people like Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden.
That's right.
So they talk about all this woke philosophy, and it forces them to overlook the security threats that we see abroad with our troops. We've got to have a military that is ready to fight. And that is our best deterrent to foreign adversaries.
And Elissa Slotkin sitting there, not doing anything, just letting it go. All right, Tom Barrett. We're up against it. We got to go, but good luck with the race. Final stretch here. Also, you have a big football game. Who are you going for, Spartans or Wolverines this Saturday?
Spartans,
that's a big deal.
Spartans, yeah. Go green. And my website, again, if you don't mind, TomBarrettForCongress.com. We'd love to have any help we can get. Thank you so much.
Great job, and go blue. Thanks, Tom. More to come on O'Connor Tonight.